When you were a kid, did you ever have that moment when you went over to a cousin's or friend's house and they would have this Spider-Man Lego set and you liked that Lego set so much you asked your parents to buy you one and then they bought you this? This video is that. Sure, both of them are Spider-Man, they both have the same functions, but it's not really the same thing, is it? Welcome to Portal 1. In this video, I'll be showing you how RTGI shaders look on Portal 1. Now, RTGI stands for Ray Traced Global Illumination. So it's basically ray tracing. While I'm not a technical person, quite the opposite actually, RTGI isn't the same as RTX. Like, there's no way you can compare the two. But RTGI is a good shader if you can't do RTX like me. Now currently the shaders are off, but if I press this button and ray tracing is on, the first thing you'll notice is below the portal there's now a glow. That's the global illumination that I was talking about earlier. It's calculating where the light source is coming from and how it would affect the surfaces around that light source. It is a little glitchy in some cases when you pass through portals, but hey, as long as it gets the job done. The other thing that's very apparent in RTGI while using RTGI is the shifting of that brightness on the surfaces. As long as you stay still, it looks great, but as soon as you start playing, the shader starts calculating where the light sources should be, and that's, depending on your rig, it might be a little too slow to catch on with the gameplay. So it takes a second to half a second to calculate where the light should be. Another thing that RTGI adds in is ambient occlusion or ambient occlusion. I don't know what it is. I don't know how you say it. Occlusion. But what it does is it adds in depth to the shadows, or it adds in shadows to the material's edges. Like if I turn the shader off, it becomes all flat. But if I turn on the shader, there's a bit of shadows and darkness where the object ends in the corners. Now here's another demonstration of RTGI or ray tracing. If I move this block to the left to the sign, it'll get brightened by the blue lights the sign has. If I take it away, the light goes away. Now if I turn off the shaders and take it to the light, it has no effect. So that's another neat little thing about ray tracing. Now if you can notice, this is with the shaders off, the orange light is also reflecting on the cube. Now if I turn on the shaders, that effect is a little bit amplified, just a tad bit. I don't know why it doesn't let me toggle the shaders while I'm crouched. But more than the ray tracing, you can see that ambient occlusion is also coming into play. This is with the shaders on, this is with the shaders off. Now if you notice, the Aperture Laboratory sign is kind of like, you know, it's a light source. It should be a light source. It should be giving off light reflections on this surface, but it doesn't natively. But if I turn on RTGI, there you go. But again, when you move the camera, it starts flickering a little. Here's another effect of the ray tracing. If I turn on the shader, now you notice that is kind of like a lit up billboard, like it's backlit. But again, there's no any sort of light that's being bounced off of the surfaces around it. So if I turn on the shader, it's now bouncing off the floor, the front wall, the top wall, the roof, and yeah, if I turn it off, it's back to normal. Now if I turn on the shaders here, you can see that there's a little glow at the floor, and it also intensifies when the portal changes locations. Neat. Now gameplay with the shader, this RTGI shader, is doable, but the flickering or the wobbly lights, the reflections, are a bit distracting. And overall, the shader does have a nice little effect. I like that it's not too subtle. Now keep in mind, the settings I'm using for this shader are the default ones. I didn't change anything, and it is the only shader that's running right now, so there's no sharpening, no anti-aliasing, nothing like that. Only the RTGI stuff is going on right now. Let's turn the shader off here and turn it on. If you can notice around the edge of the wall and the floor where they meet at the intersection, that's where it gets affected. That's where it gets affected more. On the left and right side, shader on, shader off, shader on, shader off, shader on. Okay, so the main reason why I didn't suggest this shader in the previous video, or why I didn't talk about it, was well, I wasn't sure how many people would have been interested in paying for a shader that may or may not work on their PCs. So that's mainly the reason. The other thing is, I'm not really a fan of these wobbly light effects. Sure, they can become very useful if you want to just take screenshots or still footage, but I don't know about gameplay. I did wanted to try this out on Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 1. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but I couldn't get it to run on both of those games. A friend of mine, Skyclad, was able to figure it out, but I wasn't able to. Sky even showed me how to do it, but I still couldn't figure it out. So maybe that's a video for another day. Half-Life 1 with ray tracing. That might be nice. But yeah, if you have a capable PC and if you're willing to support the creator behind this, do check it out. It's pretty good. Pretty interesting how it can add in ray tracing with just a flick of a button. And again, sure, it's not the same thing as RTX and not as sharp, fast or accurate as RTX can be, but again, it is ray tracing, so there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and a big thanks to these members on screen for supporting the channel: Cop Fighter, Jason, Mr. Spabon, TTG, Winter, Alien Grunt, Mark Jellen, A Normal Street Lamp, Marsleon, Klaus, T-Boy301, HL1+1, TRR Droid, The Hazardous Memer, Bipolit the Fighter, Forgotten, and Skyclad. Thanks again, and see you in the next one. I don't know how you say it. Occlusion, occulsion.